a single emotion cannot capture what this day means. For these men, the intersection of all they hold true, the Army-Navy game is more than one.
Football's greatest classic, the Army-Navy game.
One of the great spectacles in American sport.
A game that feels like a bowl game, a rivalry, and a holiday.
If that doesn't give you chills, you're never going to get them.
It is a lifetime lived in 4 quarters, where preparation and execution collide. This matchup forever highlighted by unrelenting competitive spirit. Never more competitive than this. 19 combined wins entering the most in the history of the nation's rivalry.
American football champions, the Army Black Knights.
And as the very landscape of the sport shifts, the spirit of this game, steadfast in excellence. The best among us, offering everything they have, not for self, but for country.
It's the only game where everyone playing is willing to die for everyone watching.
Go Army, beat Navy! Go Navy, beat Army!
Duty, honor, country.
Men with will of granite, etching their names into this 125th edition. It's Army versus Navy, unlike anything else.
Oh man, I got chills, I think, several times. Literally, goosebumps, chills, all the things. Chip Patterson, Richard Johnson, we're going to dive into this matchup. I don't know if it is the combination of our colleague Joe Musso and his grandiose verbiage combined with just Army-Navy and everything that it represents. But yeah, I have full body chills. It's the 125th meeting between Army and Navy. Of course, one of the most iconic games in all of college football. The pageantry, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy on the line, the uniforms. We'll get to that in just a moment. Chip, I will start with you. What is your excitement level for this edition of the game, considering how good both of these teams have been this season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, that it's the rivalry that doesn't need anything extra for those involved in the rivalry, which is why I'm so excited about this, because I think it's going to draw so much extra attention in based on how good both of these teams have been. Army coming off the American Athletic Conference Championship. Navy obviously getting off to a great start. Not exactly the finish to the season that I think they would have liked, but that makes, even more intrigue, as the mids are going to come in fired up trying to finish the season on a strong note. So I'm already at a 10, but then I'm at an 11. Then I hear Moose absolutely body that read, and now I'm all the way to a 15. And the thing for me, Jacqueline, about this rivalry is it really is 365 days a year. Talking to former players on both sides of the rivalry, that is the thing that they get so excited about, is that this is the culmination of so much work and so much focus. Everything that's happening on both of these campuses, all focused on beating each other. It's just, it's something unlike anything else. And I'm so glad that it gets the spotlight it deserves.
All right, so we mentioned it, gentlemen, the pageantry, the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, the uniforms. I want to get to the uniforms, and we have some video because that always, is of great interest in this matchup, because we have Navy. They're going to be wearing black on World War II, honoring the fighter squadron known as the Jolly Rogers, which was the most lethal squadron in the history of naval aviation. Army, they're going to sport black uniforms with white markings. They have a helmet that reads Screaming Eagles, which is a nod to the 101st now iconic shoulder patch. These look great. These hype videos also get me pumped up, Richard. But how are you feeling about the uniforms, and which one do you like better? We're going to put you on the spot if you had to choose.
Well, the uniforms always go hard in Army and Navy. Both Under Armour and Nike bring their best. It's really a culmination, I think, every year. I mean, I've been to Army's football facility multiple times, and they have their different Nike uniforms throughout the year from the Army-Navy game on display on mannequins. It's the first thing you see when you walk through the door in their building. So it's a point of pride that they're able to get Nike's best in this game and sport the best that the swoosh has. For that reason, I am taking Army's black on black fit. You see the Army skull and crossbones right over my shoulder here. Was up in West Point a couple months ago to report a story. I got a soft spot for the all black blackout uniforms that Army will be wearing tomorrow in D.C.
Oh, give me Navy leaning in on the Jolly Roger. I love what the mids are breaking out in this one. And like, am I going to go a little bit of cosmic vibes here? Because let's do some math. So Bill Belichick's hired at North Carolina. Bill Belichick for the SEO. Bill Belichick's dad, of course, the head coach for decades at the Naval Academy. So if Bill is getting his way, maybe Steve Belichick's old team will get their way too. Now I'm going to go with Navy and the Jolly Roger as my nod when it comes to the uniform.
Okay, I'm going to say both, and we'll just leave it at a nice even there to end the uniform conversation. We're going to look at both of these teams, starting off with Army, 11-1, coming off of an AAC championship. Chip, can you just speak to how impressive Jeff Monken has been as a coach leading this Army team?
Yeah, the one thing that Jeff Monken has unfortunately been pigeonholed into is the idea that he was only a triple option coach, and it was only going to be one brand of the triple option, when any amount of even light Wikipedia research would let you know that there have been lots of levels to the way that Jeff Monken has taken his offense, taken his approach, and been able to apply it at multiple different schools based on the personnel that he has. And the reason why that's been so dynamic this year has a lot to do with the star quarterback that he's got with Bryson Daly, because Daly does involve the downfield passing attack a little bit more than some Army quarterbacks of years past. So when Jeff Monken has the tools to be able to change things up, create new wrinkles, he's always going to do it. Now, he has been coaching forever, and yet he is always finding ways to innovate. And college football minds like that are so impressive to me because, of course, he has the restrictions that come with being at the United States Military Academy and fielding a football team, but he's always staying one step ahead of the competition when it comes to setting those players up for success.
Chip, I 100% agree. I think Jeff Monken realized that they swung a little bit too far the other direction last year when they went wholesale away from the triple option, flex bone formation and flex bone offense that they had really ran so well for years and years. And so this year, what you see from Army is a hybrid approach. They are going to get in the flex bone a little bit under center. You're going to still see that, but you're also going to see them get into the shotgun, run some like real deal drop back passing. They can do both. And Bryson Daly makes it all work at the quarterback position. He's had a foot injury that held him out for a little bit of this season that he came back from. It was an infection issue that he had in that foot, real gnarly stuff there. But he's back and he's playing at a high level, and he is the guy who makes this offense go with his legs and throwing the ball just a little bit, just enough as well. I really like what Bryson Daly is as a quarterback in this Army offense. But at the end of the day, Chip, you and I do this a lot, and you get to these rivalry games and you say, oh, throw the records out. It doesn't matter. No, Army and Navy is really a throw the records out exercise. They plan this entire season, their entire season, for this specific game. They'll leave Easter eggs schematically throughout the season on a film so that the other has to game plan for it. And then they'll come in this game with, at least Navy had 2 weeks off. Usually both teams have 2 weeks off before this game. And they'll come and they'll spring a surprise that you haven't even seen. It is such an interesting styles make fights clash when these two teams get together because they know each other so well.
Richard, I know you touched on Bryson Daly, but I want to talk about the quarterback for Navy and his dual threat ability and Blake Horvath, because there was a lot of conversation about, is he going to play? Is he questionable? He is expected to play. That's what we're hearing after missing the season finale against ECU because of some back spasms. Richard, how much does their success depend on him being able to be at his best?
I mean, it's Army-Navy. You go, you play. I can't imagine what he's dealing with, but I'm sure if he's got a chance to strap it up in this game, he's going to. I mean, the fight to sing second is what they play this entire season for. And you see going over the top there, the passing game. The fact that Blake Horvath gives this Navy offense that element, similar to Bryson Daly with Army's passing offense, it changes things up because it's not a voluminous passing game on either side, but when we go to it, the 5, 6, 7 times we go to it over the course of the game, if you're able to hit, I mean, it can be devastating to a defense. You take 2-3 yard chunks and then you go over the top for 35. It's serious, and we've seen that in years past. You know, I can remember the snow a few years ago in, I believe, Philadelphia, and Navy went over the top for a long pass play, and it powered them to a victory. You know, when you can get a long pass completion and really start to win the field position contest that this game usually devolves down into, it can be huge.
Yeah, I like Blake Horvath's importance to this Navy team, and the way that he's going to be able to perform is so important. And in terms of gutting it out, you know, this is going to be a very different injury than you remember he was dealing with early in the year when they played against Notre Dame. He had a little bit of a thumb issue, and that contributed to a turnover-heavy game for Horvath and a turnover-heavy game for Navy in a way that just let that one get away. Now, I'm looking and assuming that, of course, he's going to go, as Richard hinted right there, but also understanding that taking care of the football is going to be so, so important for Navy in this matchup. And so that's where Blake Horvath, as somebody who has so much experience running this offense, that's going to be something I've got my eye on.
All right, gentlemen, we mentioned it. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy is on the line. Army has won 6 of the last 8 meetings here. Chip, you can start us off. Give us a pick. What do you like?
Okay, I do think Army ends up winning this. They are the better team. I mean, heck, what was it? 0 punts in 0 penalties in the win against Tulane. I mean, they are just operating at an efficient level. But I will say, Jacqueline, my best bet for this game is going to go with Navy first half plus 3.5, because these two teams, stylistically, Army's a little bit more methodical, a little bit more efficient. Navy relies on explosive plays just a little bit more. And Richard mentioned the Easter eggs, the game planning. I think in 2 weeks off, Navy's going to have a couple surprises, a couple gotchas in the first half where they could be tied, leading, or within 3 points. So ultimately, I do think Army ends up winning the game and getting the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. But for best bet, give me Navy first half plus 3.5.
And Chip, I love a bespoke betting pick. I love what you got there. I am taking Army to win. I'm taking Navy to cover just because it's going to be a tight game. No matter what happens in this game, it is going to be tight. I'm betting on that for sure. And then give me the under, obviously. It's a service academy game. And at the end of the day, just like Nick Saban tells you, it's about the process. And a good process eventually produces good results. And good process is to take the under in a service academy game, under 39.5. You know what I'm talking about, Chip.
This is what we do as good Americans. We take the under in the Army-Navy game.
Yes, snaps for Richard and his pick there with the under. Richard, Chip, we certainly appreciate it. Previewing Army-Navy, and it's all going down on CBS on Saturday at 3 Eastern. Jenny Dell, Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, they're on the call. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy on the line. And, of course, you can stream all the action on Paramount Plus as well.